Lots of people ask the question, why clean seed? There's a couple reasons. One of the big ones is so that you know what you have. It's really difficult to do a restoration project or commit to space in a greenhouse or at a nursery, which is really expensive if you don't know what you have. Bin seed extractory is part of the Forest Service National Nursery System, and that system services any governmental agency in the country for restoration or research or gene conservation. During the seed season, from July to March, 7 to 12 people will process 15,000 pounds of raw, dry weight, and up to 8,000 bushels of cones in one 9-month period. We store about a third of that season's seed on site. About 2/3 of the material actually goes directly back out to public lands. Seed arrives at the bin seed extractory from all over the United States. You can't process seed that was just collected and is still moist. It's living tissue. So the material has to dry down to be able to be worked in any type of machine.
This is cured for 7 days, and now it's just been thrashed. And the reason it was thrashable comparatively is that moisture's come out of the stem. And you can see these stems crack and break apart when they get hit. And that's what you have to get it to thrash, to break apart. Got to get that moisture out of the stem.
When seed comes, we could get anywhere from half a cup of material to thousands of pounds on a semi. Our job is to assess that seed lot coming in, and we're going to put it through the extractory here in 3 phases: extraction, finishing, and testing. Extraction encompasses taking the seed out of the flower part, taking the seed out of the cone, out of the pod, out of the capsule. We want that seed to come out. Then we also want to remove an appendage if it makes sense and will improve flow. Seed naturally has developed appendages of various types for dispersal. In the case of a grass, your appendage would be an awn. That awn is part of that seed that would propel it into the ground. These dispersal mechanisms are really fantastic out in the wild, but when it comes to seed processing, they actually can impede what we need to do. And the reason we're going to remove that awn is so that the material flows evenly. And then each one of those things will have equal opportunity against the air or the screens, and we'll get a much better separation. This is what it looks like when seed flows evenly. So it will run out of your hands into essentially a consistent waterfall of seed. If it clumps and it doesn't flow over that screen or through the feeder, then we get a really inconsistent product in the end. Then we take that seed and we head to our finishing step. Some people also call this conditioning. This is where we're going to take out everything that doesn't belong. So we want to keep the seed that's filled and has tissue inside. We want to remove the empty seed, the stems, the sand, the bugs, the needles, the leaves, the petals, anything that doesn't belong, we want to remove in the finishing step.
This has already been through the first initial extraction phase, and now it's into what we call a finishing step. If this material didn't flow evenly, then we wouldn't be able to get this type of separation.
The first thing everyone assumes is that we have a protocol that you can look to and determine what to do with that seed. And unfortunately, every seed lot is different. Once you decide what you need to remove, then you can think of what machines do I have at my disposal that will help me with that. Do we need some kind of rubbing to get the material to break up? Do we need some kind of spinning action? Do we need some kind of texture to work the material against? So how do you accomplish that with what you have at your disposal? And that answer is going to be different for everyone because everyone has a different set of tools. Then we're going to take our seed and put it into the testing room. In the testing stage, that's where we want to determine, what do we have? We have a digital X-ray, we're able to image seed, and then we can understand what's going on inside there. It's a non-destructive test. So we're able to look inside the seed and see what's happening within the seed coat and understand, is that filled with tissue? Is there embryo, endosperm? You can see that this is some kind of bug damage. This is stem material. Some of this is sand or chaff. And you can see out of these 100 seed, we have 2 over here that we would call empty or not filled. So looking at this X-ray, I would call this 98% filled. And we take an X-ray image of every seed lot before it gets packaged. The X-ray test can be done instantaneously, and you can understand what's in there. It's a quick test, unlike a germination test or a tetrazoleum test.
Seeds are living organisms. They go through an aging process, and this is due to an active metabolism. What we do is to slow down this aging process so that we can store seeds for long time.
Not all seeds can be stored. Orthodox seeds can be safely dried down and put into freezer storage without damaging the seed tissue. Recalcitrant seeds, they have to stay moist. They can't be frozen. There's too high of moisture, and if they are dried down to the point that we could freeze them in our freezer at the extractory, then we've now killed the seed because it has to stay moist to stay alive.
Most of the tropical species are recalcitrant. They have constant moisture almost across the entire year, so they're not really adapted to a dry season.
Where when you think of most of the orthodox seeds that we work with in the Western US, they're developed for these drier climates, and they need to be able to store for long periods of time, and there isn't a lot of moisture.
One of the things that people don't recognize is how important seed storage is, or even why we need it. There's various types of seed storage that we need, whether it's a seed bank for long-term or whether it's seed storage for short-term.
When we go and do restoration work, there needs to be a place where people can go to get the seed that they need. And so by having a centralized storage facility like we have, we're able to, 1, have the seed on hand when we need it, and 2, we can reduce costs by buying in bulk quantities. Within our normal storage facility, we calculate right around 1.25 million pounds. About 150,000 pounds of that is what we call our cold storage.
We monitor it here. Our temperature is in red, our humidity's in blue. We try to keep it around 34 degrees and down around 5% humidity.
Some seed loses viability very quickly, such as the sagebrush seeds. If you don't have cold storage, then you do not have viable seed when you're putting it out.
Really, you want to eliminate as much moisture as possible to prevent mold.
We store all of our seed in these green boxes and in 6 mil plastic.
And then ideally store it at a temperature that you are minimizing any kind of physiological activity within the seed.
In terms of planning, if we can have it stored correctly for years, then we're ready to use it when devastation hits like a wildfire. We need to do more investment in high-quality seed storage facilities.
Storage space is at a premium. There's not a lot of high-quality storage facilities.
We store approximately 800,000 pounds of seed within the warehouse, upwards of 200 plus seed types. We're keeping high-quality seeds for the field. There's millions of dollars in here, right? We don't want to lose that by having the seed go bad on the shelf. We'll probe the bags and we'll get a representative sample of that lot, and then we'll send it into a laboratory, checking to make sure that it's still maintaining viability and it's a quality seed to be used in someone's project.